Hi, in this video I'd like to share with you how I got started in boudoir photography and hopefully help you get started as well. I'd like to help you avoid the pitfalls and just get the most out of getting started. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Richard Grenfell. I'm a full-time boudoir photographer in Australia. My wife and I own a multi-six-figure photography studio, and we have specialised in boudoir photography now for over 2 years. So first of all, a disclaimer, I'm very new to this. I've never done a YouTube video like this before. I'm talking to the camera like I am now. So if I suck, I do apologise. I hope you'll forgive me, and I hope that the content is better than the presentation, the information that we give. So if you'd like to bear with me, I plan on doing one of these once a week, and my goal is to help other photographers out. All right, so the first thing worth talking about, I guess, is how I got started in boudoir photography. I didn't set out to be a boudoir photographer. I certainly didn't deliberately try and create it. It kind of just happened, which sounds strange. It started when I was doing a project, women with tattoos, and I was photographing them. And because I was photographing them with not a lot of clothes on, because their tattoos were all over the place, it then sort of led to boudoir photography. And then what sort of made me really want to do it was I had a client who from that tattoo thing that I mentioned, and she told me how empowered she was and how amazing she felt and how to change her life, because she unfortunately suffered from a thing called body dysmorphic syndrome, which is a very horrible thing. And so it was very rewarding, and I thought, wow, this is amazing. So that's what prompted me to investigate it more. And so what I did was I actually got her back again. She had the courage to come back again and do it again. And this time as purely as a boudoir shoot in lingerie and things like that. And I invited some other ladies back who had been clients before, and I did them all for free because I needed the photos to market with and that type of thing. So if I was starting out again, the way that I would do it now is I'd do it a little bit differently. I'd set a goal for a minimum of 20 women I'd photograph for free. And I want to briefly touch upon free. And the reason I want to touch upon it is because whenever photographers talk about working for free, people go crazy, and I've seen this in forums and things like that. But got to keep in mind, free isn't really free. Like if you're starting out something like this, they're paying you with their time and with their attention, and also the ability to use their images for marketing purposes. So I look at it like that. But the reason I would do so many is for the obvious reason, which I just mentioned. You need photographs for marketing and advertising. That's the obvious one, for your web page and things like that. But the big thing is you need to create activity. You need activity on your social media feed. You need internet credibility with like I just said, activity on your social feeds, with Google reviews and all that type of thing. You also need the photographs if you're going to be creating products, because if you haven't got the products, you can't, you've got nothing to sell if you're going to be taking on paid clients. I'm talking about wall art if you want to do that. I'm talking about albums and folio boxes and all that type of thing. So there's that. Also, you need to practice as well. Like if you've never done it before, which is, I assume, why you're watching this, you do need to practice. It is slightly different than other forms of photography. It takes a little bit of getting used to. It is a different skill set, in my opinion. I mean, the principles of photography don't change, obviously, but I mean more in terms of posing and how you go about it and that type of thing. So that's really worth considering. So the question that I've had in the past is how do you find women to do this? Well, it's not difficult, in my opinion. What you need to do is just be honest with people and tell them why you want to do it. And the first thing I would do is approach friends. I would approach all the people you know and just explain to them why you want to do it. Tell them exactly the reasons why that you want to get started in this. Prepared to do it for free, that they'll get the photos, and if they don't like the photos, then you won't use them. So they've got nothing to lose. If you have been shooting for a while and you've got past clients, I would consider, in fact I would recommend, contacting your past clients, because you've already got credibility with them in that sense. They've already seen you, they've already been photographed by you, you've got a rapport. Obviously you're going to pick out the ones who you feel good about. So failing all that, I would, if needed, I would just run an ad on Facebook and Instagram looking for models, basically a model call, and explain that you'll give them the photographs and they'll give you time. So that's the way that I would do it. Now, who to choose? This is pretty critical. This is what some people don't think about, in my opinion. And this is the important bit. The very first thing, the most obvious thing is, but it's easy to forget, is you need to choose women who are prepared to share their photographs online, okay? So keep in mind there's a lot of women in jobs that simply can't share photographs publicly. You know, school teachers, police women, some professional women, a lot of business women don't like it. But here's the big one. I would, if I did this again, this is what I would do. This is the key point. I would photograph women of all ages and all shapes and sizes, okay? So women in their 20s, 30s, 40s and 50s, and all different body types as well. And I can't tell you how much work I get as a result of having all types of women on our website. So that's critical, because you need to have women be able to relate to your website and feel confident in contacting you down the track, or feel confident in inquiring into a promotion that you might be doing, or feel confident just being photographed. So that's one of the most key things that I would look into. And finally, this is a little bit more advanced, I guess, but I would, if you got a lot of women to choose from, I would pick the ones who will give you the most value going forward. Now, what I mean by that is I would choose women who you feel would recommend you vocally, like be verbal about it. Maybe you have a lot of social contacts. If their photos were shared, their friends would all see it and would potentially might want to be photographed as well. So not influencers as such, but women with roots in the community and who know a lot of other women. Because that's how I got started. That's how I got the ball rolling, was by, and that wasn't deliberate either. It's just the way it worked out. That just for example, I had one lady come in who I'd known for a long time. She came in as a direct result of her coming in. Her friend, she actually sort of sent in over the last couple of years women to be photographed. She sort of really pushed it, and then from those women, other women have come, and so on and so forth. So that's sort of how you get that organic growth going. And so I would think carefully about that, and you'll be surprised. Like the women you approach, like the ones that you think would jump at it, often don't. They're like, oh no, I don't want to do that. And then the ones that you think would be a bit weird about it will be the ones who do jump at it. So I wouldn't not ask people. I would sort of ask everyone who you think would be suitable and who you would like. So the next question is where to do it. If you have a studio, well, obviously you've got that covered. There's no problem there. Obviously you can do it in your home if you want, if you've got a nice home. I find personally the thought of shooting in my home would be weird. That's just me. That's probably a mindset thing on my part. But if you've got a really nice house, that's great. Probably the easiest way to do it if you haven't got a studio is I would consider renting an Airbnb. I've never had to do that because I've always had a studio. Other photographers I know who have done it have told me that the way that works is that in the listings they will explicitly mention if there's no photography allowed. But I also would mention too that it's probably not a bad idea just to clear it with them so you don't have any problems. There's a lot of people coming and going. You know, you don't want to have that. You don't want to have that problem. And if I brought it up, I would just say that you're a portrait photographer and just leave it at that. And because boudoir is kind of hard to explain sometimes. So the next thing is what I would do is really clearly explain the transaction that's going to take place. So whether it be with your friends, past clients, or people you found online or whatever. But I would make it really clear that they understand what it is. And that is the first thing, is that the end goal is for you to publish the photos. Now, it's kind of hard because it's the chicken before the egg sort of situation. The way that I frame it is I say to them, look, you're not going to know until you see the photographs, okay? So I'm not expecting you to make a decision now. When you get to the end, if you like the photographs and you're happy with me sharing them, we'll pick out those particular ones and then we'll proceed with those ones. And what realistically ends up happening is, in my experience, is you'll get two types. You'll get either they just say, oh, we don't care, you can share anything you want, and that's great, that makes it really easy. Usually into restrictions with, they will generally want photographs shared that they like as well, which is perfectly understandable. And also photos that aren't too risque or nudes and things like that. The other thing too is I bring up right from the beginning, and you unfortunately can't make this a condition of doing it because it breaks the rules, but people do it, and that is get them to leave a Google review. And the way that I would frame that one is I would say, look, if you come in and you enjoy the experience, you think that you like the photographs and you feel I deserve it, we would hugely appreciate a Google review. It helps us gain credibility with potential clients and helps them decide if we might be the studio for them. And if you kind of do it like that, then generally I found that most people will leave a review. And I would be pretty clear on how many photographs they're going to get. Okay, so, and by that I mean I would stick to 15 or 20 at the most, because you don't want to be editing hundreds of photographs. I would only be editing 15 to 20, because you don't need huge amounts to, well, maybe 30 if you feel like you need more variety. But don't fall in the trap of giving them what they call the raw files. Okay, so what I've learned is that when people say that they want the raw files, what they're really asking for, they don't know what a raw file is, but what they're really asking is they've heard that term somewhere, and what they're actually asking for are the unedited photos. But you really don't want to be doing that. I'd be really clear about what they're going to be getting, and that will, I promise you, that will cut down on the pain going forward. The next thing, this is probably the hardest bit out of all. This is everyone's pain point, is hair and makeup. Okay, so the very first time that I did it, I didn't know any better at all. I just said, oh, okay. They asked about hair and makeup. I said, oh, okay, well, maybe just get it on the way to the studio. And that's what they did. They did it on the way to the studio. Well, they came to the studio and did it themselves, and it was absolutely fine. I've since learnt that hair and makeup is important because it just gives them the confidence to do well in the shoot. A lot of ladies have never had professional hair and makeup, so there's that. Such a transformation for them, they get really excited. Or they might not have done since their wedding or since graduating from high school or whatever the case may be. So it's a really big deal. If I was short of funds, I would try and find some people to collaborate with, some hair and makeup artists to collaborate with, and make it a collaborative affair where they might be up and coming hair and makeup artists, and they might want to have photographs and social media fodder to share as well. So there's that. So you might be able to team up with that. But if I was doing it again, I would just spend them personally. I would just spend the money on hair and makeup artists, and I would work on establishing that relationship with them. I would try and negotiate a deal with them in the sense that where if they're coming in for the day, you work out like a day rate with them. So, excuse me. And finally, some random stuff that I think is important. This is critical. Okay, you don't want to get sued. You need a model release. It's a document that explains that you're going to be sharing the photographs for these particular purposes, and that document will vary from country to country. My suggestion for that would be, I would look to the professional bodies in your country. They usually have model releases available, simple ones. Have an agreement with your model or your client or whatever you want to call them about which photographs you're going to be sharing and get them to sign off on it. I would shoot for variety. Look for photos with their face in it, detail shots of the lingerie, photos without their face in it, silhouettes, all that type of thing. Just so that you can maximise the amount of photographs without looking repetitive in your portfolio or on your social feeds and in your advertising. Don't laugh at me for this one, but consider using wigs. The other thing too is I would, this gets into the weeds a little bit, but this probably gets into more the how to do a shoot, which I probably should do a video one time. But just, I would plan to have a woman present if you can. I would try and get a woman who can help them with their outfits, doing up garters and things like that. So I would pick someone to complement your personality. So if you're really quiet, get someone who's a bit more outgoing. If you're really noisy, get someone a bit more outgoing, get someone who's a bit quieter. You don't want sort of clashing personalities on the day. And it will just help your ladies coming in feel more comfortable, and you'll get better photographs. That's not mandatory, but when I started, I didn't have a female presence, but I wish I had of now. So I would do that. And then finally, the other thing I would do is I I used to do this all free, with all the free shoots that I did. When I sent them the photographs, so whether it be online gallery, via email, or however it is, I would send them an invoice for how much it would have been, okay? And that amount zeroed out as a gift. That way then, at least they've got some understanding of the value that they got. So if they ever talk to their friends or whatever, hopefully they will indicate to them that, you know, whatever you want to charge, which is a massive, massive discussion for another day. So that way then they've got an idea of the value that they received. And that's it. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Hopefully it wasn't too painful, and that's it. My name is Richard, and thank you for watching.